because I'm on my balcony right now. Hope that there's not many ambient noises behind me. So I apologize if there's a random siren or something.
All good. The date today is July 28th, 2020. The temperature outside is probably around 402 degrees plus here in Vancouver and in Calgary. But we are here to recap hockey. We are very happy. Welcome to a live edition. We are recapping two games. We're going to be recapping we will be recapping the Flames and the Oilers, but we're going to be also recapping Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens as hockey is back. Devin Holmes-Smith, how are you? How is it? How did you enjoy hockey, even though it was, I don't even want to say it's preseason, it's an exhibition game. How did you enjoy actually watching a hockey game?
It was phenomenal. I was so happy. I woke up today and I just felt like my morning was just complete shit because I was just waiting for 2 o'clock to hit to watch Pittsburgh and Philly. And yeah, I'm so happy that we got to the point where we were able to watch hockey. You know, it is absolutely beautiful out. I am on my balcony right now. I feel like it's 25 degrees, and it's kind of a surreal feeling. But I'm definitely happy hockey's back.
Yeah, it's so weird because it actually kind of feels like March, and you know, it's so 2020 that it's actually felt normal in a lot of ways. Oh yeah, it's like I'm just getting ready to. Yeah, I don't even realize that it's July 28th, you know, like it's just the way it is. But it was good to see. We got kind of a glimpse of how this will look with the camera angles, and of course how 2020 though is the Montreal Canadiens were in the Toronto Maple Leafs home dressing room. And Carey Price doesn't know which way to get to the rink. That just was so 2020.
It was kind of funny just to see it all unfold the way it did. Seeing all that red gear and baggage in the Toronto dressing room, and yeah, like I said, Carey Price going the wrong way to get to the rink. You know, it's just like, I don't know, it's pretty funny.
It was, yeah. So 3 games today. Philadelphia beat Pittsburgh in overtime 3-2. I did not get a chance to see that game. Did you have anything that you wanted to quickly talk about that game before we delve into the Leafs and the Habs?
The notable thing was that Sidney Crosby was playing because they said that potentially he might not because a potential groin or hip flexor issue, but he seemed like he was doing all right there, getting around the ice, and he had a couple, not scuffles, but I guess contact in the corner there with a couple times with Kevin Hayes of the Philadelphia Flyers. It was good to see him that he wasn't really laboring because I don't know, you kind of want to go through this whole thing with everybody being healthy, just to see where everybody kind of stands, I guess. And it was good to see he was able to play and play well. Other than that, I mean, compared to the other 2 games, I feel like it was third on the list. But it was really refreshing to see hockey back in general, and just as a first game, it was decent, and I'm happy to see that the games after were actually better than those ones. But I do got to say that Scott Lawton on that OT winner was a beauty shot. It seems like they are actually could be definitely a good dark horse here going forward.
Yeah, you mean Flyers? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
Flyers,
they're they haven't had a chance to get delving in the round robin, but I do think that they are going to create some problems physically for Tampa, for Boston, and for Washington. They're not. I don't know where they're going to finish, but I think I don't sense that they're going to be taking this round robin lightly. I don't think that they're going to be there's the team that's going to treat this as the preseason. For those that are listening on Spreaker, I'm using air quotes. I do get a sense that they're going to take this hard. So.
Totally. I feel like Carter Hart will be there to one going into it for their attending. You have Travis Sanheim, Ivan Provorov, and Shane Gostisbehere, your kind of top three defensemen, which have been fantastic, and not to mention Matt Niskanen, who they acquired in the offseason, kind of rounding out their top four defense. And you can't count him out. Also getting Kevin Hayes off of free agency, and he's done well there. Not to mention, I feel like people forgot about Jakub Voracek and Claude Giroux. Those guys are competitors. Those guys battle hard every night. So, yeah, they definitely won't be easy out.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting as well. I'm just making sure we are watching on Facebook Live, and if you're watching there, Facebook Live at Spreaker.com, you can subscribe on Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Let's get into the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, and we'll start with just getting through the summary here. 33 seconds into the first period, a guy, Devin, you're very high on. We'll be digging into him in a future podcast, spoiler alert. Ilya Mikheyev scored the first goal 33 seconds in on a beautiful pass from John Tavares and Morgan Riley. 1-0. That looked to me like an all-star goal. Like, it just tick-tack. Carey Price looked like a deer in the headlights. Not that he was terrible or anything, or he should have stopped it, but I don't think he was expecting that. That's a good way to start for the Leafs.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Mikheyev, he was labeled the MVP of the training camp, and he kind of showed off his skills today, being with Tavares and Marner. I feel like he is a very dynamic. He has a lot of upside to him as well. I truly believe that he probably will be the better player. He's very similar to Zach Hyman in the sense that he'll go in the corners. He has a big body. He'll bang around, but he also has some skill, and he showed him off tonight. So I'm very high on him, and they played very, very well as a line tonight.
Yeah, that was good there. And then the second period, he had Alexander Kerfoot, who scored shorthanded. Kapanen comes in. Price makes the save. Kerfoot takes the shot, and he didn't realize that he scored, but he did, and made it 2-0. One positive thing I wanted to get into, if Houston and Simpson were talking a little bit about how bad the Montreal Canadiens power play was, and I do agree that the Montreal Canadiens power play was terrible, but I thought the Leafs, I can't believe I'm going to say this about a Toronto Maple Leaf hockey team, Evan, because this is not a team that I would normally say with them. But there was a bit of structure tonight. I thought defensively, the Canadiens had some chances, but I thought there was a bit more of organization defensively tonight, and especially on the penalty kill. I thought the Leafs did very well.
I thought they did decently well too. Two of their goals were off of rebounds or backdoor plays. So they play decent, but I feel like they still have room to improve. With instead of puck watching, they got to look around them to see who's a potential threat on the backside there. Because I feel like two of those goals that the Montreal Canadiens had were due to the fact that they were just puck watching and not understanding who's around them. So, but overall, it's a passing grade.
Okay, fair enough. And then we went to the Canadiens then. Thomas Tatar from Nick Suzuki and Brendan Gallagher at 16:56. And then that cut the lead to 2-1. And then Alex Kerf again late in the third period from Morgan Riley, and 18-year-old Nick Robertson, the new Sam Bennett of the National Hockey League, got his first point. Let's quickly talk about Nick Robertson here, because he's a story in Leaf camp. Did he show enough tonight for you to consider putting him into the game lineup?
Absolutely. He showed that he's doing the little things right. Not coughing the puck up, not being too scared to do certain things, because his first shift, he got a shot on net. It wasn't a high scoring danger chance on any means, but he definitely was able to show off his skill, show off his speed. He's a small little guy. And he unfortunately, I feel like he really didn't get any chance to really show off his shot the way that I feel like he probably can show off. And I was very impressed by him. This is honestly, this is the first time that I've seen him play in a real game. I've just heard amazing things about him, and I feel like he deserved a shot in the first game.
Fair. Who would you take out for Nick Robertson?
I would take out Gauthier. I've not been a fan of Gauthier at all. I feel Engvall has more upside and brings more to the game than Gauthier does. Yes, Gauthier's body can bang a little bit, but he really doesn't use his body to his advantage more so than he should. And I feel like Engvall on that fourth line with Clifford and Spezza would be more beneficial for the Leafs going forward.
All right, there we go. Robertson for Gauthier. Yeah, I like Engvall. Gauthier seems slow to me. He didn't seem to. I don't think he played a lot tonight. I'll pull up his stats here in a moment, but it didn't look like he was a guy that played a heck of a lot tonight. Felt like Sheldon Keefe didn't play Robertson a lot, and I don't think you were going to see a lot of ice time for Nick Robertson. But he's probably a guy that can give you some energy. So.
In the first period, he got a lot of shifts, and I feel like once the second period rolled around, Keith was like, okay, well, you kind of showed me what you can do, and maybe he respected it, maybe he didn't of Robertson's play, but you do have to get your top lines going, your Tavares, your Matthews, Nylander, Marner, and I honestly thought that Tavares was noticeable tonight, and I thought that he was on point along with Matthews as well. Those are my two kind of notable top line players that played very, very well. Well, one thing that I do want to say is that I'm curious to see how Matthews played, because he does have a tendency to drop off and not show up for little streaks here and there throughout the season. But with this being pretty much a sprint to the Stanley Cup finals, I feel like he could definitely show off and not take those nights off. So I'm really he definitely has my eye for sure.
Yeah, and against Columbus, especially when you have that defense of Seth Jones and Zach Werenski, that you're going to. Matthews cannot take time off, nor William Nylander. But to me, I think the one thing I will say with the Leafs, I think the pairing of Tavares and Marner and Matthew Nylander seems to make more sense to me. With Mikheyev on the left side with Tavares and Marner, that to me, that I really liked that line tonight. Now, that Columbus defense, to be fair, is going to be a lot better than what the Canadian defense was tonight. But overall, I thought that line, that Tavares, Mikheyev, Marner line, looks like a line that can cause some trouble for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, with the lack of size and grit that Columbus will definitely bring, I feel like having Mikheyev on that top line is going to be massive for the Leafs. They see clip night, and unfortunately Mikheyev during the season he got clipped with a skate and cut his wrist and had to get surgery on it. So he was recovering from that. I believe he played about 36 games this year, which is unfortunate for what he definitely could bring. They played really well tonight. I'm very happy to see them clicking this early.
Yeah. And then, so to finish up the summary of the second period here, as I'm going through my iPhone, as I don't want to lose our camera or our signal here. So go through here. The box, so Kerfoot had the second, and then started the third. Paul Byron from Ben Sherratt and Jesperi Kemi cut the lead to 3-2. And then another shorthanded goal, Morgan Riley, who had a strong game. He from Hyman, 9:39 at the third, made it 4-2, and let's talk about the Leafs defense here. Riley had a strong game, I thought, and I thought Tyson Barrie had a bit more life than he played with during the regular season. Is that a fair comment? Did he have a bit more jump in your mind?
I mean, maybe a hair more. I'd still love to see more from him. When we acquired him from Colorado for Nazem Kadri, Kylie Rosen, and Alex Kerfoot, I feel like he hasn't. I had such high hopes that he would just be popping and he'd be grooving with the Leafs, being on the power play. He's not a top defensive pairing, but he's definitely a good second pairing defenseman. But I still want more from him. I feel like he can provide a lot more. So hopefully, with the series with Columbus, that he'll actually pop a bit more than he did tonight. But yeah, Morgan Riley, he played great. I thought he played fantastic. He was mid-season form in my mind, and it kind of showed off with his assist with the tip in from Alex Kerfoot. I thought that was a fantastic play, and he made a bunch of little plays. And I think he doesn't have to show off too much of his skill to make a difference in the game. And another person that I thought, or another player I thought that did really well was Travis Dermott. I thought he was poised. Every time he got the puck, he didn't rush anything. I thought he did fantastic. I'm happy to see that he's up and into the role like he should be, and he'll definitely be a difference maker, and definitely could be a game breaker against Columbus.
And Jake Muzzin introduced himself to Anthony Blessett, 28-year-old, playing in his first National Hockey League game. And that was a hell of a hit. I think it was a 98% clean hit. I mean, he did land in the boards, but it was far enough. I don't think that was the intent of Muzzin to back him into the board. I think that was the way that he landed. But to me, if Jake Muzzin is doing those kind of things, that is something that I think will be very important with Columbus, with that playing with that grit.
Absolutely. Muzzin, that was a clean hit. Very unfortunate the way he landed. He basically hit the ice and the boards at the exact same time. But I mean, you got to know when Muzzin's out on the ice, because he's known to hit hard and heavy, and he definitely showed that tonight. But going forward with Columbus, that he's going to be a massive part in keeping their offensive talent at bay. They don't have much superstars, but they have a collective group there in Columbus that can definitely wear you down. So having Muzzin on the back end, kind of counteracting that, is going to be huge for Toronto.
Yeah, and Freddie Anderson, pretty solid night. I'm just pulling up his stats. What'd you give him tonight?
I thought he did great. I wouldn't fault him on any of the goals. Like I said before, it was just a defensive miscue. He had the first shot. His second shot needs to be covered by either back-checking forwards or defensemen taking a look over their shoulder to see who's on the off wing there to make sure that they're not a threat. So going forward, that's my concern. And I know that Kevin Woodley, who we interviewed about a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago, he mentioned that that's definitely a downside to Toronto's game, which is their defensive end. And it was showcased a little bit to show that is definitely something that they need to work on. But I feel like with Keith at helm, potentially we have a good shot to kind of tighten up there on the defensive end.
Yeah, Kyle Dubas talked about this during the pregame show. Let's talk quickly here about Sheldon Keefe. And I think people forget, I forgot, because it was 942 years ago, it seems, that Sheldon Keefe, basically, when they fired Mike Babcock, it was aimed at Sheldon Keefe came in. So this was an opportunity for him to kind of reset, get himself kind of organized and prepared. And I know that some people will look at this Tortorella-Sheldon Keefe matchup as an advantage Columbus because of Tort's experience, but do you feel in some ways that this time off might be a benefit for Sheldon Keefe?
For sure. He didn't have the benefit of having a training camp. So having his own training camp with the players that he has now in Toronto. So I think that was massive. And I feel like they came to play, and I feel like that's just the preparation of the players. But, you got to look to the captain of the ship, and, some would say that's John Tavares, but I feel like that's Sheldon Keefe right behind her. And I feel like he definitely showcased himself tonight to be, a good coach, and it'll really show in the days against Columbus. But I feel like he did a great job in his training camp, and going forward, it'll be really interesting to see how he steers the Leafs.
Yeah, it will be interesting as well. So so going into that series, what do you feel the Leafs' biggest advantage is, and what's your biggest concern?
The advantage is the top two lines. Their firepower is undeniable. I love the fact that whenever they get off the penalty kill, if they kill it, that they come out with Marner's, Tavares, and Nylander. I feel like that having that firepower right after killing penalty will build so much momentum throughout it all. I feel like once they get clicking on a power play, get Austin on his offside to take those one-timers, and I guess you can call it the Alex Ovechkin wheelhouse, if you will. I feel like that'll be beneficial as well. I don't know. The one thing that I am kind of concerned about is Mitch Marner. He didn't seem like he had enough confidence. I remember him coming in on Carey Price on the power play there, and he hesitated. So I feel like once he starts getting that confidence up and starts clicking a little bit more, that'll be beneficial for the Leafs in the long run.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be a tough series. I already declared that there won't be a sweep in any of these series, so I'll stand by that. I can see this going 5. I think it's really interesting. It's going to come down to the best player turns of day, and if I think it's who wins the series.
Totally, it'll, and I guess that kind of puts. It kind of puts it in Toronto's court, really, to show up and actually show off their skill and show off the fact that they did spend a shit ton of money on their top, was it 4 to 6 players, really, and with the flat cap going forward, I feel like they need to show up this year, because it is anybody's game, and they could be run out of the rink with Tortorella's coaching style and the run and gun, or not run and gun style that they have, but they definitely have that offensive structure toward. They focus their offense structure towards offense. So it's it will be interesting going forward. I try not to put too much emphasis into the exhibition games, but I mean, with only one game before it starts to matter, then it's hard not to focus in on the little things and to nitpick a little bit more. But I feel like overall Toronto will come out on top against Columbus. If their talent shines. If their talent doesn't shine, then they'll probably be four games and out.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It is tough. It's tough to evaluate in that sense, and I also think the other difficult thing to evaluate here is there's a lot of talent in Montreal, but defensively there was a lot of times they just looked like a tire fire. Their power play that's anemic. and I'm being polite. They had trouble getting into the zone. They had trouble getting organized. They don't seem to have a lot of pure skill. It felt a couple of times, there was a couple of times that it felt like Max Domi had no idea who he wanted to pass to and almost didn't want to pass, but it was the right decision. I mean, there's a lot of good underlying stats, and there seems to be a lot of good things, but there's not a lot of talent in Montreal.
There isn't, unfortunately. I mean, you definitely got a talent there in Nick Suzuki. I feel like he played very well, and you know, he was able to be exposed to two top lines that are kind of similar to the Pittsburgh top lines, having a 1-2 punch with Tavares, Matthews, and Crosby, Malkin. I feel like he was able to weather that storm, which is what he needs to do. And that pass over to Tatar, that to me, that's world class. But that was a filthy pass that he showcased tonight. For I believe it was their first goal. And
yeah.
So I'm as far as their power play goes, yeah, they do not seem like they are ready or able to put up with the relentlessness of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's kind of unfortunate for those bubble teams. Looking back at it, because I believe they traded away, I believe 3 players that were kind of very important to them. Kovalchuk, who got traded to Washington at the deadline, and Nick Cousins, who's a massive player as well. I believe there's one more player, I can't think of him off the top of my head, but for those teams, it can be a little bit hard to a harder pill to swallow, understanding the circumstances that you're in now. But you know, you're in it. You got to show up to play, and I feel for Carey Price and their defensive play. It's just not quite there yet, and I don't see them getting past Pittsburgh with their upfront talent. But you know, the proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see what happens coming down the next couple of days here.
I think you're wearing the Nathan Beaulieu, who we will see with the Winnipeg Jets. I think that's
yes.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the Leafs Canadians before we switch to needing a stiff drink?
Well, for those of you that have been watching, I've been sipping on some tequila. But you know, I just want to quickly go back to Nick Robertson. I'm just gonna look at his tweet from James Myrtle, and he said Nick Robinson led the Leafs in possession and expected goals when on the ice at 79.6%. By the numbers, he should be on the team. Leafs third line looks really solid, and especially like that. That's absolutely massive. That's huge for his first game. You know, you do have your adrenaline going, I guess, coming into your first NHL game. I'm very high on this player, Nick Robinson. I feel like I said before, this is my first game watching him, but I feel like he has the grit, the determination, the speed, and I'm really hearing some jobs that people are talking him up a bunch with, and having him with Alexander Kerfoot, who had a hell of a game.
Yes, he did
tonight. Sorry?
Yeah, he did. I really liked. I've always been a big fan of Kerfoot too, but he had a really strong game too.
Oh, it's fantastic. His first period, I was very questionable about, but you know, he turned it up for the last 2/3 of the game, and I'm very impressed with the way that he played tonight, because I feel like I did not see that in the first part of the season earlier this year. So the potential is there. It's just they got to tighten up defensively, and I feel like they'll be okay. But that's what's been the kick with the high-flying Kyle Dubas Leafs. So, well, like I said before, we'll see what happens here in the next couple of days.
Yep. That series will start on Sunday. So, yes, Columbus and Toronto starts then. The other game tonight was the Calgary Flames, of course, taking on the Edmonton Oilers in Exhibition Battle of Alberta. And again, another sign that this was 2020 is Beasley introduces the Calgary Flames in Rogers Place. Hell did freeze over. Couple of things before we get into the actual game. I thought they did a really nice tribute to Colby Cave. That was really nice. And Ethan Bear representing his last name in Cree. I thought that was a neat little touch as well. I'd be open to seeing that continuously going on. I don't know if we can allow that or not. That is not my decision. But those were a couple of nice, nifty little things. And the Flames also had the opportunity to go into the Oilers' dressing room and decided to take the visiting dressing room. But the Oilers did not take the home dressing room. They had to use the Oil Kings dressing room. See, Devin, 2020 is fucking weird.
It really is. I respect the shit out of the Flames for not going into the Oilers dressing room, but yeah, it's kind of funny just the mental aspect of the game that they have to go through and that essentially they put themselves through. So not being in the Oilers dressing room, I thought was kind of a nice touch, and I feel like the majority of Flames fans would appreciate that. Going, yeah, I don't know. And who knows if they're actually going to be in there at all throughout this entire qualification round or playoffs. But yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
Well, I think this is going when one team is home, and then the other team is home. So when Chicago plays, Edmonton will be considered the home team for game, but Chicago is going to be the home team for game 2. That's the way that I was led to understand that. It's not 2-2-1. They're flipping, which is interesting. But I mean, I guess it's last change, but that is an interesting thing.
Last change, and also I guess going forward, it's just the starting lineup too. The home team gets the last say on the starting lineup too. So I feel like that's fair, especially with Edmonton being in their home arena, and you kind of want to make them feel as uncomfortable as possible. With that, I mean, who knows exactly what benefits they have with in their own arena? Because at the end of the day, you'll have everybody's playing, or every Western Conference team's going to be playing in the same arena. Right? So, but I feel like there is a slight edge to Edmonton and Toronto with being comfortable in their surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's that edge. And so let's get into this game. And this was what was not 2020, but has been sort of a pattern. I think that we forgot that there's a pattern, is the Flames giving up an early goal within the first 5 minutes. And it was Kyler Yamamoto that did that on starting goaltender Cam Talbot. We'll get into the goaltending decision here in a bit, but Talbot made a great save, and then Yamamoto got the rebound, and Talbot almost, to his credit, almost made a second great save, but he just couldn't reach. But it was 1-0 Oilers right off the bat, and was the Flames back on their heels as they were, as part of their theme of 2019-2020 is they trailed a lot, and they trailed pretty much for the rest of the game. And that concerns me.
It definitely concerns me too. Going into this game, I thought that Talbot had the upper hand, and getting that starting job on the first game and on Saturday there, but it didn't look good for him. It had too many flashes of Carter Ramo. And the fact that he was just swimming out there or out of position, or you saw the name bar many times, he just seemed over-aggressive and not calm, cool, and collective that I feel like you want your number one goalie to be, or the goalie that you're going to go into the playoffs or the qualifying round to be. And it was concerning, along with, once again, I feel like the theme of the night for the Leafs and the Flames was making sure that you're covering your the the trailer coming in, and it showed its ugly head multiple times, and it is concerning to give up the first goal once again. For the first time, and I don't know. It's not a good start, that's for sure.
And then they got the power play goal. Speaking of not knowing a guy on the ice wearing number 97, who, by the way, he was 97. Have you heard of a guy named Connor McDavid? He's pretty good.
I know a guy named Connor McJesus.
Yeah,
but not McDavid.
Oh, okay, Connor McJesus, who got a haircut, by the way. Backdoored from Draisaitl. Apparently, I think that there was a couple of the Flames players there that I think were wanting to be in the stands on that power play goal, making it 2-0. I think, okay, if you're looking at this from the Oilers' perspective, you're going to be impressed with the skill. I'll grant you that, but on the other side, it was not a good start for the Flames, and that first period was particularly concerning. Not only the two goals, there was one line that really was only one line that could give any pressure, and that was the backlink Mangiapane line. Dubé made an effort. Ryan, Lucic, and Dubé made an effort. Monahan, Gaudreau, and Lindholm in the first period were pretty much non-existent. They got off to a really slow start. They did get better as the game went on. And defensively, Brody and Giordano, I thought, were fine. The other four weren't. But a turning point, Devin, I want to see if you think this was a turning point, was, there was the Cassian hit and there was the fisticuffs. First of all, were you surprised it got physical?
Not at all. I would have been more surprised that it was just going to be a vanilla game, like the Pittsburgh Philadelphia game. I've been actually upset if there wasn't more emotion than they showed tonight. But it was. I was happy to see that first of all, I was upset that the Oilers had to set that tone. I feel like the first three shifts that the Flames had, they came out with a lot of piss, a lot of vinegar, a lot of finishing their checks. But then the first big hammer that came down was Cassian on Gustafsson, and I was happy to see that that we stuck up for each other. But I feel like with that Alberta, even if it is a exhibition game, you want to be the one to quote unquote draw first blood, and I feel like that definitely was in the Oilers' favor.
Yeah, but then the turning point was late in the first period. James Neal goes in, and Rasmus Andersson, and Rasmus Andersson has not had nice. He did an interview, for those who don't know, with Ryan Leslie during the pandemic, and Ryan Leslie asked about James Neal and Rasmus Andersson, and he gave a very short-term answer. But that almost, when that scuffle happened, I felt like the game turned around for the Flames. It was almost a turning point because Neal took a very bad penalty at that point, and they gave the Flames momentum in the third period. In the second period, that was all Flames. Like I thought all the lines were pretty noticeable. I thought the defense pairing were noticeable. They controlled the play in the second period.
They definitely did. They as the game went on, I feel like they turned it up a little bit more, which was definitely a positive and encouraging if you're a Flames fan. What Neal did really kind of sparked the Flames, and for those of you who do not like James Neal, I feel like you kind of liked him there for the fact that he lit a fire under our ass, and I feel like there's a. I love Rasmus Andersson because he does have that more of an edge to him, and if you haven't seen that in him, I feel like you haven't been watching intently, because he does have a fire. He has that that piss and that vinegar, and locking him up for the term and the dollar that we did, I think it's going to be absolutely beneficial. And I feel like him and Valimaki going forward are going to be two staples in our defensive core going forward. But love to see the camaraderie behind it. I love to see Ford going after Cassian after the Gustafsson hit, and it definitely was a turning point when I guess the play completely stopped, and Chuck and Anderson kind of went after Neil. So that it's kind of sad to say, but that is like the high point of my of my analysis of the game from tonight. And you know what, it could be an amazing thing, or it could be a very concerning thing with that being a high point. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that I guess to me, I think they wanted. I think. I don't know if I'm misreading the tea leaves here, but I felt like Anderson really wanted to do that. I think what Anderson is, I don't know if he's as nasty enough as he needs to be at times. I don't think he's trying to find his footing, allow himself to do that. Like he hasn't mastered that the way that Matthew Tkachuk has, in the sense of finding ways and knowing ways to aggravate players. I don't feel Rasmus Anderson has found his footing yet.
No, I feel like when he first came in, first was a prospect, he was criticized for not being fit enough. And Hawk and Lube actually quoted him, or he said that he's unfit and lazy. And I mean, from an outsider's point of view, it's kind of funny that one of your top defense prospects was kind of labeled as that. But I feel like he's trying to figure out where that line, and I feel like having Tkachuk as a teammate, and having I feel like Manchester has that great determination to it might rub off on him, which is fantastic. And depending if Travis Hammond kind of re-signs here or not, I feel like that'll be a big growing point on him too. So he hasn't found it yet, but I feel like he's kind of bordering on the line of being a good, a quote unquote good guy defenseman compared to I don't know, a more grittier defenseman like a Gudis. But I feel like he definitely has the potential to be a more gritty player going forward. But I feel like either way he's going to choose, I feel like it's going to be a good choice for him.
Yeah. And I think in the second period, one of the things that I was mostly impressed with is the way they, like, Connor McDavid, when he was on the ice, absolutely was in control of the game, but were able to get his stick in the way. So there were sticks in the way and make simple plays to get the puck off of the stick, which they didn't have to do anything. They weren't amazingly physical. They didn't try to run him, but their sticks were in the right spot, which I was really impressed with that. That allowed them to create some offensive opportunities, and probably one of the biggest saves of the night. There was one in the third, but what Philip Broberg's big save when Koskinen dove out of the net, doing his interpretation of Mike Smith in dedication to him. Philip Broberg made a big save there, but second period really thought, the big thing, sticks in the way for Connor McDavid, and they were able, for the most part, to control the tempo of the game, and then Lindholm scored on the power play. Was it a power play goal? Yes. And from Gustafsson and Gaudreau. I do like Gustafsson, and I got to tell you, I like Gustafsson on the number one power play part. I think that Gustafsson, Tkachuk, Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm as a number one power play, I think, works really well together.
I agree. Gustafsson is. I think I feel like the reason why Tree Living brought him in was to give a little bit less of a load to Giordano and give a little bit more on the offensive skill with Gustafsson. I feel like he did a great job tonight, quarterbacking that power play, and going forward, yes, that's less reps and less confidence building plays for Giordano, but I feel like he's more important to the team on the PK, because defense wins championships, offense, and if you have an offensive defenseman like Gustafsson, and you got to utilize him. And we didn't trade for him just for his third line skill. He got 50 points in his first year, and we really need to utilize him in the spots that he can thrive in and flourish in. So. As far as the defense goes, one of the stats is no even strength shots from McDavid or Draisaitl with 10 minutes to go in the third period. Like that's absolutely massive.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yep.
And containing those top players is gonna make a massive difference, and I actually didn't realize that until Chris Albert sorted that out. So it gives me more confidence with the fact that we played as we did tonight. But going forward, we will. Yeah, you'll need to see that more with the top two lines of Winnipeg utilizing them.
Well, and I think the big edge here Flames too with the defense is, and we talk about with the Canucks when we have the conversations, they're probably going to play 4D more often than not. With the Flames, you can play 6D pretty comfortably for most of the game, and you should be okay. And your pairings, I think Travis Hamonic is a miss. Don't get me wrong, he's a warrior, but I feel comfortable with the Brody Giordano, Anderson, Hanifin, Forbert, Gustafsson, and just rolling those 6D out and you don't have to necessarily. I mean, you're going to play some more than others, but that's not a terrible 6D pair compared to what Winnipeg has. I do feel that that's an edge.
Yeah, it is an edge. The one thing, and I said this on a previous podcast, but I want to see Forbort with Anderson on the second pairing. I feel like he complements Anderson more and brings a little bit more size and depth throughout the three defensive pairing, and had Anderson with Gustafsson, and I don't know. I was not really impressed with Hannifin's play, and that another reason why I think that Forbert being on its second line would be beneficial going forward. But I don't see it happening. But
so you would go Brody, Giordano, Anderson, Forbert,
benefit of doing that,
and then Hanifin and Gustafsson. Which
yes.
Gustafsson can play the right side.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair, but I don't think that's not a terrible six however you match it. It's
no.
You can roll the six and then you're fine.
It just depends on how you utilize them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And then the third period happened, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, coming on, like, did we settle this goaltending debate really? Because David Rittich didn't get a lot of work. So I was like, okay, Talbot allowed 2 goals. He made a few saves, but Rittich didn't get a lot of work. And then lo and behold, this long shot comes in. Rittich gets a pat on it, kind of, and then it rolls in front. A 13th forward named Patrick Russell beats TJ Brody to the puck and scores. And then Connor McDavid goes down the right side and finds the wickets of David Rittich and scores again. And I feel I have a hot take, but I'm going to tell you right now I have a hot take about the line goaltending situation going forward. But I almost feel like Cam Talbot won this by default. But it doesn't give me. I'm not going into game 1 confident that Cam Talbot can steal me a game.
Yeah, the way he played in the first period was AHL backup at best in my mind. The fact that he lost his net multiple times, he was too aggressive, and maybe that's just the fact that he hasn't played in 4.5 months. It's hard to evaluate, the talents that you have, like down in Minnesota. Who knows who's going to be the starter there with Alex Daylock and Devin Dubnyk, just out of training camp, playing against your own team, and one game of exhibition. It really is a crapshoot. Going into tonight, I thought that Talbot had the edge, and it seemed like he did have the edge because Rick wasn't really playing that well during the training camp. But honestly, as of right now, I would say that Riddick should start game one against the pick.
Even after the goal he allowed tonight.
Even after the goals he allowed tonight, I felt that first one was not his fault. And that second one, I mean, yeah, it makes him look absolutely ridiculous. But you're looking at a guy who is arguably one of the best in the world coming down, and he's becoming first of all cold. I haven't had any shots for 1.5 periods, but I maybe it's a lack of confidence in Talbot and more of an edge towards Riddick and his personality and what he brings to the team. And it seems like people, like the players, want to play for him. Like every time he caught the puck or got a whistle, like he was tapping guys on the pads already, and like to see that means a lot more than just than what Talbot brought tonight. Is what Talbot brought tonight was it was Bush League and was unacceptable to show off in the first period. So he got a little bit better as the game went on. But yeah, in my mind, Riddick is a starter.
Okay, I actually kind of see your point on the third goal because it was a muff for sure. But Patrick Russell should not be beating TJ Brody to the rebound. Like he literally. TJ Brody was standing there watching as Patrick Russell went by him. So I do think Brody needs to take some blame for that. Mm-hmm. So I can see your point on that. I don't like, to me, I think the frustrating part with what Riddick, what happened here is realistically the Flames could have tied the game. There's good chance they were in control, and that's such a deflating thing. And when that happens, when you have a breakdown like that, for sure. And that clearly we're not in good mind frame when Connor McDavid scored. I think, just to me, one of the things that, this is my hot take, there is a reasonable case to not protect David Riddick in the expansion draft. I'm going to bring this right now. Because you've got two goaltenders coming. You've got Dustin Wolf coming. He's 19. He's not going to be ready. But you're already bringing the guy Zags. I'm calling him Zags because I can't pronounce his last name properly.
Zagadulin.
Yeah. And they seem really high on him. If Riddick does struggles here, how confident are you going forward with him? There's a reasonable argument to not protect him.
That there is a reasonable argument. I mean, when you first said it, I'm still kind of blown away by the thought process behind it. But yeah, Zagadulin, he came in from the K, and he's done well. I mean, I feel like that's what we did coming in from the Czech League. He must in the AHL and worked his way up, but. As far as his development goes, I would not be surprised if they didn't protect him. I didn't think that was a thought process, but I appreciate your hot take there because, it's definitely got me thinking.
I think I just shocked you.
You did. You definitely did. And I feel like you do have a lot of, you have Dustin Wolf, you have Todd Parsons, and you have Zagadulin coming up. So, that's not a bad thought process. And you do have Cam Talbot, who tonight did not show his best game, but he's shown in the past that he can be a 1A or even a 1B going forward, especially with you have Jacob Marcham on the market this offseason. You also have Braden Holtby as well. So could really try and make a big push for either one of those goalies, and if you got either one of them, you'd be singing, dancing, laughing to the bank, depending on what the price hit is, but or cap hit. But yeah, I mean that's a hell of a take there, Kev.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just it is something to think about going forward. Like it's what you do, and I think with this series, it's clear that the best. Nobody's going to argue that the best goalie in this is Hellebuck. But if Talbot and Rittich can steal a couple of games, that gives them, like talent-wise, I think forward defensively, the Flames I think are a better team overall, especially wise. But it comes down to goaltending, and part of it is how good Hellebuck is, but part of it is also how inconsistent both of these guys are. That I think causes the frustration. So, and Twitter's already all over David Rittich, and Oilers Twitter is harassing David Rittich already. So,
as they surprised they're not harassing Tkachuk more, but you know what's funny is I did not know how much Leon Draisaitl dislikes Matthew Tkachuk until I saw him trying to run him a couple times during tonight. And, you know, it's kind of funny. You see the tempers flare between two players that, you know, in my mind, I wouldn't have thought that they would have clashed, but they definitely were. But if I was an Oilers fan, I would be doing the exact thing. The fact that Rick got the stick flip and kind of showed off in that aspect. You want to shit on him when he's drowning, right? So, or give him an anvil when he's drowning. So, like I said, if I was an Oilers fan, I'd be just giving it to him for sure.
We'll talk about the Oilers in a quick second, but the other thing I do want to talk about is, I think, and I mentioned this on Twitter, I think that Sam Bennett solidified the fourth line center position. I think that to me, Mark Jankowski didn't see the ice for most of the second half of that game anyway. I think that they're pretty clear that they're going to go with some combination of Bennett, Reeder, and somebody else. But I'm not believing that Mark Jankowski is necessarily part of that group.
No, he won't be. When I heard that it was going to be Jankowski and TJ Brody for Nazem Kadri, I almost just left out of my pants. Like, honestly, it was having that takeaway would have been amazing, and I feel like Jankowski's stock has dropped massively since the offseason. He hasn't showed that he is an NHLer. He hasn't showed that he can be a two-way player. Yes, he had a bunch of shorthanded goals last year, but I'm happy. Maybe I'm not happy, but I'm okay. No, I'm happy to see that Sampson has relished and that he has kind of solidified himself as a NHLer, and he is. For those Canucks fans out there, you take away the draft pick status from Ole Levy, just like you got to take away draft status of Sam and move on, and just hope that he can be a impact for your team, and if he turns out to be a fourth to third line NHLer that does really well in the playoffs, he, in my mind, he found a diamond in the rough, because having those playoff players is gonna start you with long playoff runs for years to come. So it's unfortunate Jankowski has not worked out the way that he probably should have, but good on Sam Bennett, and I thought he was an impact player tonight. He's definitely in my notes of players to be to talk about. So go forward, I would be happy to have Sam Bennett as the Flames fourth line center.
Do you feel he's better as a center or a winger?
He's probably more effective as a winger, getting in deep, crashing, making an impact on the game with his size and his determination, his grit. I feel like he's more effective as a winger, but you know what? I feel like we don't have that much grit in our game, in the Flames game. So potentially he'd be better off suited as a winger. And yeah, we do have enough depth to counteract that, and maybe we'll see that within the first lineup combination, or in the second one, depending on how we do in the first game. But with such a short runway, there could be a lot of changing in the lineup and in the roster spots, and you can definitely see a completely different fourth or third line when the second game starts.
So the way it's looking, it's Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm. It's Backlund, Kachuk, and Mangiapane, which is I like that line. And I thought probably overall was probably their best line for the most part tonight. Ryan, Lucic, Dubé. I really liked Dubé tonight. And then that fourth line, if you're putting Bennett on the wing, is Alan Quine your center then?
Ideally, yeah. I feel like he is a very effective fourth line player, and he definitely brings a lot of defensive responsibility to the Flames lineup. So yeah, I put him on the front line.
So it would be Quine, Bennett, and I think maybe in your eyes, you talked about this on the weekend, and I kind of don't think Jeff Ward would do this, but I'm actually in agreement with you. I would go with something like Quine, Bennett, and Buddy Robinson for the size factor, but it seems to me that they're going with Tobias Reeder.
Or Ronaldo.
I think they're going to go more Reeder than... I don't see Ronaldo as a regular 12 forward. I don't either.
He definitely brings a lot of piss and vinegar. I've said that multiple times in this podcast already, but he brings a lot of energy. And what do you think Reeder brings more than Ronaldo?
I don't think Reeder brings a lot of anything to the lineup, to be completely honest with you. But I think Jeff Ward has likes it for some reason, and I think it's probably because he can kill penalties. But I wouldn't I wouldn't put him as a I would put him as a fourth line. He wouldn't be on my fourth line. But that's me. But it seems that Jeff Ward likes him.
Yeah, and which is valid and completely fair. Yeah, as far as penalty killing goes, he'll definitely fill out the roster the way that it should. So I agree.
Yeah, fair. Anything else about this game that we wanted to talk? The one thing, just to quickly on the Oilers, there's some skilled things. They kind of have some structure, but if Zach Kassian is running around being Zach Kassian, there seems to be a little bit of a lot of good things to like about, but discipline is going to be a question for me by the Oilers.
Yeah, it'll definitely be in question. I feel like Kassian has a fuse on him that could blow at any moment, and you don't know when that's going to be. But he does have skill, and he does bring a lot of energy, and he kind of fills out that top six role a little bit more, and has a bit more edge to him. So maybe that'll be beneficial for playoff hockey, and but we'll see if he crosses line at all, because he definitely has that potential to do it. But I don't know. I feel like he's definitely one person you want to have team in playoffs. They're saying out there, I'm going to include people, but just saying that you'd rather have a tiger than just a regular pussycat, because you can rein in a tiger, but you can't really amp up a pussycat, right?
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, I can see that. It's just, to me, it's going to be about discipline, and that was the big question, and one of the things I took away. And I also, if without McDavid and Draisaitl, it's still a concern for me as the Oilers. That forward depth doesn't exactly, like, there's some good players there, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't scare me if I'm in opposition. You can control play in their zone without when it's not McDavid and Draisaitl guys.
Yeah, for sure you can. And the lack of depth, I guess, is going to be the downfall if the Oilers do not make it past the first or the qualifying round or the first round of the playoffs. If those guys aren't going, then the Oilers are nothing. And it's a benefit, but a detriment at the same time. So whether or not Chicago can mitigate what Draisaitl and McDavid do is going to be a big going forward if Chicago wants to get to the next round.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's leave it there. So tomorrow we will be recording a podcast with Mike with Flames Nation. Will be joining us to talk about the Flames. We'll kind of recap what kind of other news happened during the day, if they've made any decisions after the game. We will also be recapping the Canucks Winnipeg Jets exhibition game. Sean will be on, so at least for talk about that. And then on Saturday, August 1st, 2020, because it's weird, we have game 1 of it starts for real. So this is even practiced for our practice, and we'll be going live after every Flames and after every Canucks game. Matt Dubourg from Fireside Podcast is going to join us for sure for the Flames ones, and so that'll be fun. And then
not to mention that I'll be, whether or not people want to hear it or not, I'll be recapping the Leafs game as well.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. So we're going to recap the Flames, the Canucks, and we'll recap the Leaf games as well. I don't know how we're still going to figure. I still want to figure out if we're just going to do the Leafs ones or put them as part of a whole package like we did tonight, where we ended up. I don't know. We'll still figure that out. Well, we will be recapping the Leafs games as well. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh God, I cannot wait. I've been discussing with my friends that you won't see me for quite a while, because I'll be just watching hockey from early Saturday morning till potentially way late next week of the qualifying round, and I can't fucking wait.
That's true. Let's end it there. So how do we follow you, Devin?
Gordhouse09 on Twitter.
Right, and you can follow Sean. You're going to go 3. Heidi Amazeballs, Schneids, Chris Schneids, SCHNEIDZ, Tyler T Noble, me KEVULE, podcast_hockey, Facebook.com hockey podcast, iTunes, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Thank you, everyone. We will talk to you all soon. Bye for now. And there. Yes.